Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Why Ukraine live stream. As usual, I'm your host, James, the American, coming to you live from Ukraine. And I'd like to share with you, I always hate to overlap with other streamers, and I did that. And I want to apologize to Ukrainian Jenny. If you don't know about her, she has. This is the first time I didn't know she did live streams. But she has a hello, Mitch and Robert, and you know they exist. Thanks for coming. But yeah, so Ukrainian Jenny meets. She's this kind of, new channel, 3,000 subscribers, and she does really great interviews. If you guys haven't checked her out, she's definitely one to add to the list. And definitely, if she's still streaming after me, please go check her out for sure. So, and here I will link her channel. Jenny Klochko podcast. There we go. Yeah. So, yeah, and I saw that Rick the Ukrainian just ended like an hour ago. It's great because I thought he was going to do one of his 12-hour streams, which he did not. That's great. And yeah, so I am, color me happily surprised, you guys. I'm as shocked as I'm sure some of you are here, really, because this is, I'll eat my hat. What can I say? If Trump ends up being better for Ukraine than Biden, I don't sniff a gift fish, is what I'm saying. I mean, I still think he's a fascist, but I mean, fine. Good God. Whatever works, for Christ's sake, Mitch, you've been following the SoCal fires. Yeah, that's a big deal, to be sure. So I'm curious what you guys think. So Trump tells Putin to end ridiculous war in Ukraine or face new sanctions. I mean, I honestly thought that the sanctions were going to be lifted on Russia by now. I thought that was going to be like already have happened, basically. That was my my expectation. So, writing on a social media platform, pushing to settle the war, he was doing Russia and its president a very big favor. I mean, I said last week, it's Age of Empires, Game of Thrones. So Wizard of Vu says, no, it was Rick's coffee shop casual today. Yeah, I hope I get to do one of those coffee shop things with Rick next week. It's my hope, my plan. We'll see how it works out. And Yana, since she's here, I understand that she's here. I really hope that I get to bump into her. And Roman as well. Yeah, so and Dmitry Peskov says, we are waiting for signals that are yet to arrive. Kremlin says it remains ready for an equal dialogue, a mutually respectful dialogue. First of all, no, Russia is not equal to the United States or the EU in any way, shape, or form. Certainly not morally. It's very interesting. We're waiting for signals that are yet to arrive. What are those signals? It's almost like coded, statement, right? Um, but they're obviously not taking it seriously, and maybe they're right. Maybe he shouldn't. Maybe Putin shouldn't take Trump seriously. You know, I'm curious. I mean, Trump says it's Putin's fault. Ukraine war isn't over. I mean, could this be? And I was just listening to Johnny Pierce, who is, my God, that guy is traveling across Europe in a pickup truck, and he's streaming. He has not even slowed down one iota on ATP Geopolitics. But he was, I think he was quoting Zelensky maybe speaking at Davos yesterday, that basically they're just trying, because they understand how Trump works, they're just trying to keep someone in front of him speaking about Ukraine all the time to counter the bad advice he's getting from shitheads like, Robert Stone or whatever, Vivek Ramaswamy, although he's out, right? So, I mean, this is a shocking thing, shocking thing to hear. Donald Trump directly blamed Vladimir Putin for the fact the war in Ukraine is still raging, a day after threatening massive tariffs and sanctions. I don't think Trump understands what tariffs and sanctions are, but fine. I mean, fine. That's what he does, right? He threatens tariffs and sanctions. Russia doesn't respect anyone in reality. Where's the booze? I mean, you're right. I was really thinking about this mentality, and I was listening again to oh crap. I need to look at my history. What's her name? Elvira. That's it. Elvira something. Oh my gosh. You guys are going to see my YouTube history now. Oh yes, here we go. This is the one. Elvira, what's her name? Elvira Berry. And I don't agree with everything that she says, but she's a Russian in America. And
simpler. Russia's top officials operate in a world shaped by outdated ideas, misinformation, and their own immediate survival tactics. Their reality is far removed from the narratives projected onto them.
Now, here's something really interesting that I'd like to say. I have found that the corrupt, Soviet kind of Donetsk gangster mindset in Ukraine, that so many traitors who are trying to weasel their way back into politics, back into power constantly here in Ukraine, back into power even in the military, they have exactly this same mentality. And funnily enough, I actually think that Trump actually has the same mentality as what Elvira expresses here. Let me know.
The true motivations of Russia's leadership boil down to three key factors. First, staying in power. Their top priority is clinging to their positions or climbing higher, not in your eyes, but in the eyes of their peers. They know little about you because they don't engage with you, don't read about you, and don't speak your language.
Right. So, they don't. Wizard of Ooze, when you said Russia doesn't respect anyone in reality, I really think that this is Dunning-Kruger syndrome. And hello, I'm Max. Thanks for coming. Dunning-Kruger syndrome, where the thing is like, I'm the boss, so I automatically know everything. And I really think Trump has the same idea, but this is endemic into this mafiosa style. And I hate to say it, but I've seen it here in Ukraine, and it's something that Ukrainians complain about endlessly, with the sub-criminal corrupt fuckery that happens here. And very interestingly, we are going to talk about this, but this is a very now I don't have specific details on this, but it says SBU conducts 150 special operations in 3 days in large-scale security crackdown. So they're basically arresting a lot of corrupt people, including, illegal weapons, pose threats to Ukraine's cybersecurity, draft evasion schemes, crimes relating to the military, including embezzling from the state defense budget. This is something that we're gonna talk about a little bit here. But it's kind of like, this is what I was saying two live streams ago about, this kind of age of empires. It's really a clash of egos. It's a clash of egos. So we'll go back to Elvira.
Nor do they care to know you. They believe they already understand everything.
Yeah.
After all, they are the big bosses, and in their view, that authority is validation enough. Second, they need to impress. There's a deep-seated national urge to astonish and inspire, and this is not an exaggeration. Russia has a long history of sacrificing practicality and even prosperity to project an image of greatness. Monumental palaces.
And I've seen this here before as well from certain corrupt officials, where they come in with all kinds of bluster, trying to wow you or scare you or whatever. But when you kind of peel back the layers a little bit, you're like, you're not scaring or threatening me at all. And that's really how I think that's what's happening here. Finally, because unfortunately, Biden or Jake Sullivan, whoever, was scared of Putin. Simple as that. Just afraid. And you guys know how I feel about Trump, but maybe the P tape is going to come out now. Maybe he doesn't care. He doesn't care, right? Because it's his second term. He's a lame duck, for better or for worse. I think it's actually beneficial because he doesn't have to answer to anybody, which is terrible for America. Absolutely terrible for America. Mitch, message retracted? I didn't even know you could retract a message. How did you retract a message, Mitch? It says message retracted on my screen. That's amazing. I guess if you type something and you delete it, it's okay. I'm sure it was fine. So President Donald Trump said he'll ask OPEC to lower the price of oil, saying it would end Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine immediately. If the price came down, the Russia-Ukraine war would end immediately. Maybe not immediately, but pretty darn quick. Oh, okay. So, I've never clicked on that, Mitch. No. Okay. No, he actually makes a very good point. Right now, the price is high enough that the war will continue. You got to bring down the oil price, and then that war. Yep. And I have said it many, many times. I think Biden's policy of trying to set the price at a certain price so that they can't. No, just put it to the floor all the way to the fucking floor. $10 a barrel or some shit, you know? Crush them. They have to be crushed. And that is the big point here, is that Elvira is making too, right? You have to, these people with this mentality, and that includes Vladimir Putin. They're numbskulls. Okay, they're impressed by big shows of greatness.
Colossal construction projects, lavish celebrations, and costly wars may yield little tangible benefit, but serve to boost the country's self-esteem. The narrative is clear. We are a great nation. However, they are not trying to impress you. They don't understand you, nor do they try to. Instead, they act on what they think will impress you, assuming you share their values.
Yes, exactly. They're not really trying to impress you at all. They're trying to impress who they think you are, right? It's just, this mentality must be rooted out. But I mean, unfortunately, I guess we're just fighting fire with fire, you guys. And a problem, I would dare say, with us, philosophical liberals, is we overthink it. We hem and we haw and we don't know what's morally correct. And sometimes you got to punch somebody in the face. You got to just punch them right in the face, or the equivalent of that, whatever the effective equivalent of that might be, Okay.
Third, access to resources. This is the most critical factor. All the grand ambitions of Russian leaders hinge on one thing: money. And in Russia, money has always been a complicated affair. Running a sprawling nation like Russia is astronomically expensive. Heating, transportation, and manufacturing require immense energy.
Enough yakking, start whacking.
Historically, the average Russian citizen has been far poorer than their European counterparts because so much of their effort goes into merely sustaining basic life conditions. The country's vast into merely sustaining parts. The average Russian citizen has been far poorer than their European counterparts because so much of their effort goes into merely sustaining basic life conditions. The country's vast, sparsely populated territories, long borders, and lack of navigable waterways further weaken internal economic connectivity.
See, people think that Russia is strong somehow because it's really geographically big, but that size, this massive geographic size, is actually an incredible weakness, because when you have an economy the size of, like, Belgium or the Netherlands, but you have to spread that economy to support infrastructure across, like 11 time zones or something, then, your money has to literally go a lot farther. So this concept of Russia so big and strong, no, size is not always better.
For a more detailed breakdown, check out this video. As a result...
Yeah, Mitch, she does skip these points very fast, I agree, but she has other videos where she goes, like, more in depth into each of these things. And I actually have watched this video all the way to the end, and I do not agree with her conclusions. Actually, I don't agree with her conclusions at the end, but I agree with these points. They exist, says, I predicted for 6 months that Trump would help defend Ukraine, and people called me an unsniffable fish. I might have done so, actually. I said Mike Johnson would help. Same fish, belly up, but now I'm smelling sweet. Fair enough. But hey, you know what? The fat lady has not sung yet, okay? So so far it's all talk. So, and hello, Catherine and Ken, both of you, good morning and good evening. Sniffable fish. Well, there we are. Okay.
Russia's domestic market is small, and taxes collected barely suffice to meet the needs of its citizens, local elites, and the security forces required to keep the system in check.
history of trade and power plays.
If we examine the broad trends in Russian history, a fascinating pattern comes into focus. When Russia isolates itself from the world, it becomes a quite impoverished state in Eastern Europe that rarely antagonizes its neighbors. However, when it opens up to global trade, the story changes. Its citizens remain poor, but the ruling class rapidly amasses wealth.
Right. So we don't have to watch her whole video, but she basically, arguably, I would say here makes the argument that Russia has to be just completely isolated and crushed, and that's it. So they exist. Says, how can I tell these things? It's by certainty factor, not 100% certain usually. I was at say 80% for both Johnson and Trump. Yeah, okay. So you're about the same as my gaydar then. I run about 85% gaydar accuracy. Okay, well. Yeah, so it's just interesting, here in Ukraine, I'm slowly learning, piecing things together. Things happen sometimes, and I'm like, why? What? And then I have to remember and learn this. I call it the Smikolka mentality. Smikolka means cleverness, but the Soviet mentality of corruption, which is so pervasive, and Ukrainians are fighting against it on a daily basis. It's a war within as well as a war without. Yeah, Cheryl, Trump has no fear of compromise anymore. I guess he's like, yeah, sure, bring the P tape. Bring out the P tape. Go ahead. What are you going to do? And honestly, I think if the P tape came out at this point, I mean, he's said and done so many different things that it just doesn't even. I have this thing on my live chat that says goal. What does that mean? I better be careful clicking on things. The last time I clicked on something, I accidentally ended my live stream. So I'm just going to leave it alone. But I do have this weird thing in my live chat that wasn't here before that says goal. What kind of a goal? Okay, anyway. Okay. Interesting. Mitch says, we didn't know the actual population of Russia before COVID, it turned out. Putin had them well on the isolationism route already. Oh, yeah, for sure. That's absolutely true. Yeah, don't get me started on the meme coins and the freaking... Anyway, all right. So, I mean, Ukraine war briefing depends on what Trump means by a deal, says Russia. People are calling for all of the $300 billion to be spent in Ukraine, potentially a loan. Okay. Something I don't know. Britt, are you here? The Ukraine mission? I don't know. He might not have good enough internet. For those of you guys who don't know, I'll bring it up right now. Ukraine mission. Yeah, so our friend Britt, my friend, probably. Yeah, here we go. Some of his. If you guys haven't watched him, if you guys aren't subscribed to him, you should be. It's @ the Ukraine mission. Hey, Leathercat. Oh, I apologize, everybody. Just so you know, if you have Wait, why did it cut off? If you have messaged me, like the other cat, I know you messaged me. You guys know on my last stream, what I'm dealing with. I'm not even going to discuss it or talk about it. But I am just really super fragile emotionally. Everything's just setting me off. My stress levels are just like right up at the top. All my usual stress management methods are not working. It's just I guess it's just part of the grief process that I'm going through. And I basically, I haven't been talking to anyone. I've been totally offline. Even Technology for Ukraine this week, I had to tell them, look, guys, I'm dealing with some personal stuff. I told them what happened, and I said I just can't do anything right now. And any little thing stresses me out, and I'm just like, I snapped at one of the engineers. And I was like, okay, I need to take a step back, because when you have something like that happen, you might be able to deal with it, but it doesn't mean that everyone else can deal with your bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean everybody else is prepared to deal with you. What is going on with okay, well, whatever. So I've just kind of retracted myself away from most people, and except for these 2 live streams I've done this week, I really have just been avoiding everybody. I've walked the dog. You guys know my dog, Buddy. You guys gave him the name. No, that's Brit's dog. Let's see. I think you guys have seen him, right? He's not used to being walked, so walking the dog is like, oh, here we go. So this guy right here, walking the dog is like I'm not exactly the dog whisperer. I'm trying to be, okay. I'm trying. Let's see if I can find a short video. Oh yeah, here we go. This guy.
Good boy. Yeah, look at you. Finally got you calmed down a little bit, huh?
So, unfortunately, my family doesn't really
you can't keep
take
going
me for
outside.
walks
You're
and
going to get
stuff.
hit by a car. Don't do that.
Dogs out here
right?
in the countryside are kind of like farm animals.
Yeah.
They're not exactly
Such
treated
good
like
puppers.
pets, really. So,
having to eat all that crap.
What would have taken me
like macaroni.
What would have taken me like a 10-minute walk is took like 45 minutes. But he's a good dog. He's just really overstimulated by everything and scared. Every time a car drives by, he gets down like this and lays down, and like, he's smart, but anyway, so that's been my kind of my therapy anyway, but it's nothing compared to Brit. So I asked him if he needs anything. He said he didn't, he said he's doing okay, but he is in the hospital. He has some shrapnel in his back. His unit, he got hit by an FPV. And I guess that's probably more than I really ought to say. He survived. Some others did not. He's incredibly lucky. Basically, incredibly lucky to be alive. Basically, but he's well, and send Brit a nice message. And I told him he's in the hospital. He needs to do a freaking live stream. His wife, his internet's terrible, but yeah. So it was nice of him to give me a call, and you guys should just know that he's doing all right. So I want to talk a little bit, kind of. I guess do we need to talk about this, you guys? Do we need to talk about freaking this? I mean, for those of you who are just listening, what is all this stupidness? I do not accept these ads, you fucker. All right, I don't even care. We don't have to read any of these articles. We can just look at this page. Oh, hey, Brit's in the chat. Awesome. Thanks for coming, man. Yeah. So, Brit, you need to do a live stream where you tell the story, my man. I think I don't want to tell the story because A, I don't want to share any OPSEC. B, I don't want to steal your thunder. You should tell the story though. Really, you need to do one. I mean, maybe you can't do it now. Maybe someday. Because it's quite a thing. Yeah. So I mean, this shit happened. That was my little joke on the thumbnail. Like he's going off script. Give him Elon's meds. That's if you guys caught that, that's the joke for today. All right. Put Elon's meds in his drink. And I mean, that's the thing, right? Is, my position has been that Trump has historically been a Russian asset. And I'm not saying they have freaking mind control rays or something, but yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about, I was just mentioning, you guys know I am in the drone force, and there's a lot of things happening that I just don't understand, like weird political fuckery. Wait, Mitch says, Leathercat says, we all knew he was a Nazi. I did not see it. Sorry, it's a joke. No, I mean, I was a Musk fan, Elon Musk fan, until, I don't know, sometime during COVID when he just, flipped. I guess he flipped like before COVID, but Mitch says that was with the going to Mars law. There's a law? Wait a minute. All right. There's a law? I didn't know there was a law to go to Mars. Would we call that a martial law? I don't know. I was expecting, guys, I was fully expecting Trump to, I know he's signing all kinds of crazy executive orders and basically ruining the country. I was expecting him to declare fucking martial law and, seize war powers. And I still expect that. I think he's just going to look for an excuse. And if going to war with Russia is an excuse, he'll do it, I think. That's kind of what I meant when I was talking about this Age of Empires bullshit that we're in. Yeah, Cheryl says Russia has been manipulating Trump for a long time. He has actual fondness for them, but if they're losers, all bets are off. Yeah, maybe Zelensky just played it so good with, oh, really? One of his executive orders was to get boots on Mars? Oh boy. If I have a chance to do another live stream, I will talk about what I believe is really going on with Bezos, Sam Altman, Musk, and Zuckerberg. And it's all about the AI thing. It's actually called the Mars Law. Oh, good God. See, I've had to tune out. I've literally had to tune out because I've been so stressed this week. I've been so stressed about shit. And fuck me. It's called the Mars Law. I mean, great. I think it's I don't not support like space exploration. I think it's great. But wait, Mitch says it's called the Mars Law. Wait, same as when Trump and Putin, it is the TP meeting. Oh shit balls. That's great. The TP meeting. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah, Cheryl says looked like Elon flipped in fall 22. Now he is supporting German AfD neo-Nazi party. Yeah, he's Lex Luthor. He power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, and Elon Musk is the proof of that. Yeah, reversed Affordable Care Act for about 25 million. Wow. God. I hate to say it, guys. I've never been happier to be in another country as an American citizen. Okay. So I want to talk about drones, because I am in the drone force, and the weird stuff that's going on. And I'm trying to understand it, and I don't understand what's going on, but I'm forming a picture in my mind of what's happening. And this is all related to like what Elvira was saying and the mentality thing. So I think this is very important. And I want to get this across to anybody who has an interest in working with Ukraine to support drones or to support the war or to support technology. If you come here with this idea that everything's going to work the same way it does in America, you will be shot down. Shot absolutely down. Bell says, I'm a little jealous of Americans that live abroad, if I'm being honest right now. Listen, I mean, me too. I should say I was for many, many years, and I left, and I've never been happier since, I mean, I'm still an American, but man, anyway, don't get me started on that. Ukraine has its own problems. All right. Is the point I'm trying to make. Okay. They're trying to work on them, or at least some people are. So a Ukrainian drone commander says battlefield tech can change within a month, and the old style of years-long military contracts can't keep up. Right. So this, I would dare say like the US military has this system, right? So commander in Ukraine's 14th UAV regiment said combat drone tech can change in a month, in a week, One example is the evolving need for new hardware to counter jamming techniques, he said. Military contracts like the 3-year agreement wouldn't be able to fulfill those demands in time, he said. Yeah. Ukrainian commander overseeing a drone battalion said the speed at which his decentralized manufacturers can alter their battlefield tech gives them an edge over traditional defense production lines. We say to them, here after 3 months, this antenna no longer works, this GPS no longer works. We tell them this needs to be changed. And the battalion commander of the 14th Unmanned Aerial Vehicle Regiment said to the Ukrainian military channel. They say no problem. And in 1 month on the dot, they implement it, added the commander, referring to drone producers in Ukraine. Now, this is very different from what I have personally heard and what I have read about the direction that the Ukrainian drone production was going, the way it was being pushed. Okay, he said the realities of war mean his unit must continuously give feedback to manufacturers, who in turn roll out changes quickly. Now that's very different from let's say Lockheed Martin or whatever slow ass, these government, and Ukraine has had that system as well, that centralized system where it takes 10 years for a simple gun design change to be approved, and that just doesn't work. And if Ukraine tries to force that, Ukraine will lose this war. And so it's very interesting. I want to continue this article because I feel like it's very important. Um, let's see. Casper compared that to production lines for drones in the Iranian-designed Shahed, which Russia has been manufacturing at scale for the war. Let's say you are creating a production line planning to make one Shahed. There's a 3-year contract for it planned in advance. It's already been has pre-written technical specifications, pre-written set of components. Now that's good too, because they can churn out, thousands of these things, obviously. But installing new components or tweaking designs, would therefore be difficult because they already received the money. Quote, I gave you the Shahed according to the specifications, so what do you want from me? I don't really care. That's, that's it's all about money, right? He cited an example of Ukraine's evolving battlefield needs, GPS jamming countermeasures for larger drones. Very interesting article here. I'm not going to read it, but maybe some later time. These require special hardware like receivers or antenna that allow operators to switch between frequencies. If those measures don't work, the drones need an inertial navigation system so they can fly blindly out of jamming range, or perhaps a camera that lets the pilot navigate their drone through visuals, he added, which has its own issues. So if the drone sees that it's being jammed, it transitions to the visual navigation and is moving forward, or transitions to the inertial navigation and is moving forward, or it has a multi-band antenna that jumps from channel to channel, all these sorts of things, okay? And it's a total cat and mouse game. Trying to centralize everything is just not going to work under those circumstances. And Russia itself, it says here, one way that Russia has brought new tech to the front lines is through fiber optic drones, which allow them to bypass electronic jamming. So, Russia is not totally a monolithic beast either. And that is why it is so important to get this fiber optic drone manufacturing up and running. So if you guys didn't notice, over here on the left side of my screen, you can go to whyukraine.com and make a donation for that. I want to improve. I want to put like a graph here that shows like how much has been donated, and maybe it can be like a raffle or something. I just haven't been able to work on it this week, guys, and I'm really sorry about that. I'm going to try tomorrow. See if I can get my stress levels down to the point where I'm functional. I mean, honestly, I did it basically in order to do this live stream. I like had to work out for like an hour and a half, basically. That seemed to help. I don't have weed here. There's no, last time I was talking about like microdosing shrooms, that doesn't exist here. What am I going to do? Hey, Hjalmar, thanks for coming. We are okay. Yes, thank you. So, and yeah, alcohol doesn't work for me anymore. So, oh my God. Last White Rose says, hey, James, the patch you sent all the way to Canada arrived. Oh, it's been like 3 months. Oh my God. There are actually, there are a couple of items that got returned back to me that just arrived. And I have to go through and see who it was, because it came back. It was like returned to sender. I'm not sure. That was just like two items though. So, yeah. So we can talk a little bit about going back to these drones. Okay, the U.S., for example, is awarding hundreds of millions of dollars in contracts to firms such as Teledyne and Anduril to make loitering munitions. In October, Anduril announced that it secured a $249 million defense contract. And also, if you guys don't know about Shield AI, there's been this allegedly, yeah, here we go. Yeah, Shield AI opens office in Kyiv. So supposedly this, it's, what is it called? The something bat, VTOL bat. It's a vertical takeoff, and I think it's basically supposed to be impervious to electronic warfare. It's purely a reconnaissance drone at this point, and of course, it's incredibly expensive. Palantir, yeah, the VBAT. Palantir is buying Shield AI. Okay, that's about the same size as my unit's drones, actually, roughly speaking. But ours carry munitions. So, so you know, the U.S. is throwing a ton of money at this, and this is a real problem here. Okay, because so it says, I mean, it sounds like a really good thing, right? Ukraine to hand combat units 60 million monthly for new drones. I'm going to get to that. I want to look at this article here, and this is from. I don't know if I've brought up this article before. When this? Okay, November. So this is a picture from November. Oh, here we go. December 18th. So this is an article from December 18th. Okay. Now this guy here, I really like this guy. He seems to be a pretty good dude. What the hell is his name? Mikhailo Fedorov. Okay. Young dude. Seems to be like not corrupt, basically. And that's generally the case. Like if they're below like 40, they're probably not corrupt. If they're above like 45, you know, here in Ukraine, like a leader in a leadership position or something, yeah, they'd probably have the Soviet sub-criminal mentality, and they'll never shake it. You know, they'll never lose it. I mean, yeah, no, I don't think so. They never change them. Anyway, so the point is, this guy's pretty good. Now, this happened back in December. The Ukrainian cabinet of ministers discreetly dethroned the former czar of drone purchases, digital transformation minister Mikhailo Fedorov, as the result of a one-sided power struggle from the head of the president's office, Andrei Yermak, allege observers. Now, Yermak is like Zelensky's chief of staff. And everybody says I mean, I've not heard a single Ukrainian say one good thing about him. I can't. I can't make a decision on that. Okay, I mean, obviously, he can't be doing too bad because, I mean, Ukraine hasn't lost the war, but yeah, okay. Anyway, a new decree shifted key office in the drone purchasing process away from Fedorov, and the new leader of the office is anti-corruption watchdogs, a yes man for Yermak, President Volodymyr Zelensky's closest ally, who's attracted controversy over his ever-growing influence and overreach. People here call him the Gray Cardinal. If you don't know what that's from, it's from like the Three Musketeers or something. Hey, SkruffyTalez. Yo, what's going on, man? We are talking about drones. We talked Trump already. We're done with Trump for now. Critics fear the responsible agency may stop reporting details on over $1 billion a year of government drone contracts, leaving them vulnerable to embezzlement. That's the key here, right? Fedorov was mostly occupied with putting government agencies onto mobile apps before the war. So he was in the Department of Digitization, which is kind of, so he's basically the only guy in the government who understands anything technical. Okay, and he led a lot of really great, I would argue, improvement things. So Fedorov became the face of a new army of drones, a government initiative launched in July 22. The popularity of such drones, I would argue he's, in some ways responsible for promoting the drone superiority that Ukraine arguably has. Let's see. Yeah. So, all right. So, yeah, Fedorov ended up spearheading the government drone procurement. Okay. Despite Fedorov's role, the government's drone purchases initially ended up not in the hands of the Defense Ministry nor the Digital Transformation Ministry. That's Fedorov's thing, but rather the State Special Communications Service of Ukraine. So this is a very interesting thing. This is the kind of machinations and fuckery that occurs here, right? So the Communications Service is the agency in charge of securing government and military communications and cyber defense. The Cabinet of Ministers granted Fedorov semi-formal authority over the long overlooked Communications Service as it underwent reform starting in 2020. As fundraising money flew into Ukraine following Russia's invasion, the Communications Service ended up holding the purse strings for drone fundraising by United 24, which you guys should all know about, right? So all that money coming from United 24 was actually going to this communications service agency. So now let's see, how much money are we talking about here? The Communications Service found itself in possession of considerable war chests as a result of these changes. The agency's budget for the next year included, grivnas. Now this is grivnas, 446.9 billion, so $1.125 billion specifically allocated for drones. Now here's the thing: as soon as I've been talking about the corrupt. Hang on, I'm going to grab my tea. Give me a second. I have another teapot of tea here. As soon as these corrupt, Soviet mentality, sub-criminal sort of politicians smell money, oh boy, everybody wants to hop on that train. Everybody wants to take credit for that, and they're like, flies to shit, right? So that's kind of, I suspect, that's kind of the thing that's happening here. Okay, so the service has seen scandals in the past. Former head Yuri Shuchol, along with his, were arrested for embezzling $62 billion in software last November. So, there's obviously, right? And this is Victor Jora. That's his, a year later, the Communications Service saw another shakeup of leadership and, as a result, control over that $1 billion drone budget. See? So there's now the different, gray cardinals. Man, it's just... So, it's just interesting. So Fedorov, it's like Game of Thrones. Reading this stuff is like, to me, it's like flipping back and forth, Game of Thrones shit, what the hell's going on? But to me, it's important, right? Because what am I doing? I'm working in this area now, So Fedorov's appointee Yuri Mironenko announced a surprise resignation from the post on November 15th. Mironenko was appointed to lead the agency in charge of drone procurement after the previous head resigned amid embezzlement allegations. So Fedorov took Mironenko onto his team. So meanwhile, all eyes were on who would replace him at the communication service and be in charge of the rich drone budget, because that money goes to, drone companies in Ukraine. All these drone companies are like, oh, I want that money. Okay. So Alexander Poti, wow, I'm even getting confused by all these freaking names. Longtime deputy chief of the service took over the job soon after Mironenko's resignation. The service subsequently named this other guy. It just goes on and on and on. Okay. Critics, including anti-corruption activists and wait a minute. Oh, just a few days later, the Cabinet of Ministers formally established that the Communications Office would report to the Cabinet itself, not to Fedorov's Digital Transformation Ministry. That's an important thing. So this Cabinet of Ministers is what, Yermak is in charge of. That's the thing here. So critics, including anti-corruption activists and journalists, were quick to allege that the changes indicate that the lucrative and popular direction of drone procurement was effectively taken over by the allies of Andrei Yermak. This is the guy who everybody says is super corrupt and so I mean, it's hard to know. It's hard to know. It's weird Game of Thrones crap going on. And it says here, when Yermak went into the president's office in 2020, he cleared out everyone who helped Zelensky win in 2019. Right. So that's why a lot of people say they don't trust Zelensky, actually, because of Yermak. I want to say. I'm just learning this stuff alongside you guys, right? I mean, it just goes like on and on and on. But it says here, let's see. The head of the president's office, Yermak, will busy himself with the drones, but the money will be allocated by the bureaucrat who controlled the finances under Reznikov. Let's see. Fedorov had put forward to the chain of Butsov pointed to new officials who Fedorov had put forward to the chain of drone command, including a vice minister of defense, Vadim Sucharesky, as the first commander of Ukraine's new unmanned system force. As soon as Fedorov gave voice to this plan, Yermak became his fatal enemy. Yermak tries to control all internal policy. And then, so this, my God, this Vadim Sucharesky, okay, he was the first commander of Ukraine's drone force. Okay, so he was appointed in June. And I think he has been forced to step down. Yeah. Uh-huh. Maybe not. Let's see. Drone force commander. All right, I guess he is the commander. Commander, I think. Oh, he replaced the guy who was this corrupt dude. Apparently. Anyway, it's so like Game of Thrones stuff, guys. It's so hard to know who's like real and who's not. But here's one really important thing. Okay. So all of this money for drones, okay, was being centralized, and they were in some ways in a good thing, trying to um, you know centralize drone manufacturing and drone engineering, because this system that they're talking about in this article, where you've got like 150 bajillion different drone units, each making their own thing, and everybody's reinventing the wheel, that comes with its own whole set of problems. um, Mitch says, I have no idea what Game of Thrones even is, intentionally, so please don't explain it. But now, and this I just saw yesterday, now things appear to be changing. So Ukraine to hand combat units $60 million monthly for new drones. Ukraine's Ministry of Defense will provide its combat units with 2.5 billion hryvnia, so $60 million of direct funding per month to procure their own drones, in the move to allow commanders in the field to buy the equipment they need rather than rely on centralized purchasing. So you see how they flipped. Ukraine soldiers launch a Leleka, that means stork, by the way, reconnaissance drone near Chasiv Yar. Yeah, so this is very interesting. It's almost like they flipped, and I'm wondering if like there's some shakeup going on. Something's happening that we can't see, that I can't see, right? Commanders of units will have the flexibility to use these funds to acquire the drones that are the most effective for carrying out mission requirements at the front. Now, the flip side of that, though, is the potential for corruption there is crazy, too. I've heard of plenty of situations where, Scruffy, you're trying to get Mitch to watch Game of Thrones. Just don't watch season 8. You're fine. As long as you don't watch season 8. Don't watch season 8. Okay. So Ukraine has been a crucible for drone innovation. We all need that. We all know that, right? So there's not a lot of detail here, but I think we're going to see this detail start to come out. It's like, how do you balance, right? Because as soon as you centralize all drone procurement and engineering, then all of these corrupt people come out of the woodwork and start sniffing around. But then the flip side of that is, how do you guarantee that the lower level commanders are spending that money the right way? I mean, it's tough. I don't know what the solution is. I'm pointing out. I mean, the solution, you might argue, is this, right? SBU conducts 150 special operations in 3 days, large-scale security crackdown. Okay. Yeah, Mitch, kind of why you have audits and transparency and all the other stuff. Yeah. See, that's like everything here in Ukraine. You do have a lot of that bureaucracy, but the war has necessitated that everything was just ad hoc. Get it to the front as fast as you can, just make these things, blah, blah, blah. And so going back and trying to do audits, impossible. I mean, and trying to, make people fill out forms and stuff. I mean, it's just, I don't know. So that's these are things I'm thinking about, guys. And how do you balance these things? How do you balance corruption? It would be great. It would be great if everybody in Ukraine was just like, no, we have a war going on. We're not going to do corruption. I'm not going to skim off the top or whatever they're doing. You know what I mean? But as we can see, for every 150 crackdowns, I mean, I think this is a good thing, but for every 150 crackdowns, there's probably, 10 times that have gotten away with whatever they've done. I'm not saying that we shouldn't support Ukraine. I'm not saying that it's hopeless at all. But I will tell you, a lot of Ukrainians will say it's hopeless. A lot of Ukrainians say, "Boy, we can't wait for the NATO EU to get here and just run everything." I mean, literally, like, run the military and like be the leadership for the country. I hear this from Ukrainians all the time, and I have to explain. Yeah, oversight, Mitch, oversight, and that's going to be the question. I mean, if going back to whatever deal Trump says he's going to make, which says like EU troops in Ukraine, we can argue about that. I think it will happen. This, one way or the other. But they are gonna be frustrated very quickly with the Ukrainian military and how things will happen, and how things happen in the Ukrainian military. They're going to get really frustrated really quick, and they'll either throw up their hands. I'm talking about the European armies that come here, or they'll basically just have to take over, more or less. And I mean, maybe God knows I've been wrong before. I seem to be wrong about this, but this is what most Ukrainians believe will need to happen. The ones that speak to me, anyway. So, yeah, Wizard of Ooze says audit should be fed back by soldiers in the receipt of the drones, so there's a cross check on the supply line. The guys under fire want their drones more than kickbacks, I would think. That's exactly right. And unfortunately, the way the Ukrainian military is set up, the way it was told to me, the way it was explained to me, is that, not all commanders are bad or corrupt, but there are so many bad ones that the good ones, after a while, they're just like, oh, fuck it. Fuck it. Because the good ones are the ones who get the shaft. The good ones are the ones who get screwed with it. And that's another thing, right? A lot of people will say that when the SBU is doing these crackdowns, they're not catching the bad guys, they're protecting the bad guys. They're catching the people who are reporting the bad guys. This is a common belief here in Ukraine. So, I'm just kind of showing you kind of like what the lack of trust is. Americans or Republicans like to say they don't trust the government. You don't even know what that means. You don't even begin to understand what I don't trust the government means until you've talked to a Ukrainian here. Okay? Seriously. Yeah, guys. So I don't know. That's what I have for you today. Soviet syndrome. Yes, thank you, Scruffy. Like I said, it's the older generation. The younger generation doesn't seem to have that problem. But what are you going to do, right? I will tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep trying to do what's right here. and fighting for Ukraine. And they keep trying to work on building these fiber optic drones. And the next, after we get this going with the fiber optic drone manufacturing, okay, I've already got the next thing in the works. And this was written. I did not write this. This was sent to me. This is we are going to start an R&D, research and development fund, okay, for our fixed wing drones, which has the unfortunate name of Backfire. I keep trying to get him to change that name. I keep trying to say it doesn't mean what you think it means in English, but there we are. They're like, yeah, we make fire in the back of behind Russian lines. I'm like, doesn't mean that. But there we are. So if you would like to help that effort, this is where you can do it. And by the way, someone told me you can go to this page and you can donate here to my unit, Birds of Fury. But this goes to operations, and this goes to there's limitations on how that money can be spent. It goes to buying and making new drones. It doesn't go to new drone development. Mitch asks, so what is the current status of that billion and some now? Well, I don't know for certain. Going back to you're talking about the drone thing. I mean, I can't say for certain, but it looks as though, where was it? Where's the article? It looks as though that money is, unless it's coming from somewhere else, unless it's not, I explained where this, I don't know where they're getting this money, but it looks very similar, right? Together with yeah. So it looks like that money is, instead of going to one central thing, it's going out to individual units. Now, where does that leave? Like a big central thing, like the drone force, where they're trying to centralize manufacturing and R&D and stuff? That's a good question. I don't know. But the big problem is there are limitations for all of companies. We have a private company that builds our drones, and there are limitations on how the money can be spent, how much profit can be made at like not more than 23%, and that money cannot be reinvested in R&D. It cannot be spent on R&D. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. And Mitch, yeah, I absolutely agree. Money needs to be tracked down. But I will tell you what, I trust the money. I trust the money going to combat units more than I do being kept in the hands of one central person or one central committee. And I will assume that where that money is being sent out has to be tracked somewhere. Commanders will have the flexibility to use these funds to acquire the drones that are most effective for carrying out the mission requirements. The funds to buy drones will be distributed among the brigades of the armed forces after Ukraine's cabinet ministers back the proposal by the ministry. I mean, I agree with you, Mitch. I don't have the... Leathercat, Leathercat says they should flip the word around and say fire back instead of backfire. I'm gonna take a clip of this and send it to my to my guys so that they will understand, because they don't understand. But so we are going to set up an R&D fund, okay? And this will be the last thing, and then I just want to read this because they wrote it. I didn't have anything to do with this. Here in Ukraine, we dream of the peace that was brutally taken from us. and we fight for it every day, every night. I need to tell them not to start sentences with and. And we are looking for ways to achieve victory through modern technologies that save the lives of our soldiers, bringing victory, peace, and justice closer. Birds of Fury is one of the units of the Ukrainian army which actively uses technological innovations. Together with the manufacturer of the Backfire UAV, the team takes part in, which is also called Birds of Fury, by the way. The team takes part in the development of new technologies and solutions that increase the effectiveness of their work. The team includes military and civilian engineers, programmers, aircraft designers, and other specialists. Together, they have developed many solutions that are already helping Ukrainian UAVs deter the Russian army by delivering precision strikes against enemy targets. But there is still a lot of work that needs to be done to improve the effectiveness of Ukrainian drones, antennas, comms, improved drone bodies, electronics, power, and more. Unfortunately, the team's capabilities are limited by the availability of resources. Lack of funding from the government severely restrains the development of innovation in the army. It's the volunteers and private donors that keep everything going, and the Birds of Fury team has to find the funds for their R&D solutions on their own. So, like that 60 million hryvnias going to units, that's for purchasing new drones. It cannot be spent on R&D, which is crazy, right? That's crazy. Okay. You can be the one to help the Birds of Fury take their work to a new level, expand their innovations, and implement them in many ways of the Ukrainian armed forces. It is your contribution that could prove to be the difference maker. Interesting turn of phrase. There are no small donations. Every dollar contributes to the victory of a civilized, free society over the corrupt Russian dictatorship. By helping the Birds of Fury fund their R&D projects and UAVs, you are helping to bring peace closer and stronger. You save the lives of those who defend peace and justice. So we don't have this set up yet, but next week, I hope we will have this. And we're actually, I think it's going to be on the Charity Foundation page. I mean, I think. I don't know. So I'm just letting you guys know that's coming. And I hope that you will participate. We will try and give you transparency and updates on what's going on. But of course, we can't say exactly. For R&D, this is a problem with R&D, right? We can't say exactly what we're spending the money on. Okay? Like, I can't tell you. I did talk about it already, but I didn't say, I didn't say it was for us. I can't give that away. So this is a problem, right? I don't know. If you guys have any ideas how we can be transparent, but also, for research and development, we can't say what we're researching and what we're developing, right? So there you go. SkruffyTalez? Okay, you guys are coming up with suggestions now. Wildfire, that would work too. Yeah, count the number of backfire. Sounds like a farting drone. yeah. Yes, exactly. Backfire means you fucked up and got hit with your own thing. Backfire is what happens when a car lets off a loud explosion out through the tailpipe. Yes, you're right. Ukraine mission says AI drones for targeting with night vision thermal for flying objects would be great if they pursued these directions. Yeah, I can't tell you what we're working on there, but maybe could be. Leathercat, I honestly despise pornography for a great many reasons. Where did that come from? I mean, okay. I mean, wait, were you thinking, because somebody the other day suggested we should rename the backfire to the back shot, So maybe that is that what you were thinking of? Okay. Hjalmar says this is the most financial broke day if you leave in Sweden. First payday tomorrow after Christmas, New Year's. Oh, wow! I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. My favorite is called Russia gets fucked by the long D of Ukraine. All right, Brit. Yeah, basic commercial rule of thumb is 5% of revenue should go to R&D. That's in a peacetime economy. That's another 3 million for each tranche at least. Yes. Oh, we were talking about Outlander and Game of Thrones. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you were talking about renaming the backfire drone. I was like, you could call it backshots if you want. Yes, thank you, Wizard of Ooze. Badly tuned engines backfire. Well-oiled machines fire back. Thank you, Hjalmar Brantings. The DP drone. Okay, guys. Okay, I thank you guys for making me laugh. I haven't been able to laugh all week, and thank you very much. The next time I see you will probably be with like ATP Geopolitics or Silicon Curtain or one of those guys. Hopefully next week. And thank you very much. I knew there was a reason that I wanted to do this live stream today, and you guys helped. So thank you all for coming, and Slava Ukraine. До побачення.